Forget Desmond. Forget Dogmeat. Forget D-Dog. Forget bloody Riley from Call of Duty Ghosts, okay? Far Cry 5 has the best video game dog. It just has the best video game dog. I'm sorry. There's a dog called Boomer. He's one of your new companions in Far Cry 5 and he's awesome. You can even pet him if you want to. So I recently got hands-on with Far Cry 5. It was like a 45-minute demo at E3 with Ubisoft. And I got to play it on PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to record it, but they gave me some B-roll, which is what you're seeing now. And this is the start of the demo that I played. And before you get into the game, you get to choose a companion to have, an AI companion. You can play the game in co-op though, but you can also pick like an AI companion if you want to. And you can choose between a sniper lady, a guy called Nick in a plane, or this guy, Boomer, one ear up, one ear down. He's a scrappy dog and he's amazing. You can order him to attack people like that if you want to go stealthy. You can tell him to go somewhere, you can tell him to follow you. You can tell him if you want to just go into a village and walk around and mark all the enemies for you. Because the beauty of it is, he's just a dog. So the guys there don't see him as an enemy until they see him attack someone. So you can go all stealthy with him. Really, really cool dog. And when you're out in the wild as well, of course it's a Far Cry game, there's loads of animals and bears and wolves. The dog will actually come hunting with you and help you track down animals and locate their position. And you can get into situations where Boomer will see a wolf and have like a howl off with them, or he can actually intimidate a bear. If you just come across a bear in the game and Boomer decides, you know what, I can have that bear, the dog will actually go up to the bear and square off against it, and if the bear is intimidated, it's going to run away. How cool is that? But yeah, it's very fun to order the dog around, have him follow you. When I was playing, I was throwing dynamite around this town and I blew up like a big fuel tanker, and Boomer flew into the air about 100 meters into the air, and I knocked him out. Luckily, he landed right next to me and he can be revived, so it's not like a story character who can die as far as I know, so you're not going to get sad when the dog dies, because from what Ubisoft told me, the dog can't really die and can always be revived. So you and Boomer will live forever. It's all good. So this is very much a Far Cry game at heart. It's very open world, and I like the new setting, Montana, and the kind of religious cult thing that they've got going on here. I think it's gonna introduce some very funny and unique characters. If you look at what this team did with Vaz in Far Cry 3 and also Pagan Min in Far Cry 4 and some of the other wacky characters that they started to introduce, it became very funny but also very kind of serious, and it started diving into some quite adult topics, which I enjoyed. As with Assassin's Creed Origins though, they've got rid of the towers and they've got rid of the minimap. So it's kind of like you against the world, you've got to spot everything, you've got to do the recon, and it just makes it way more engaging. And I'm really glad that Ubisoft have decided to remove those elements from these open world games, because I think they do just hold your hand a bit too much. And when you're going in like this instead, where you've really got to do your own recon and play a bit more cautiously, I find it just so much more fun to play. Now what you're seeing here is a second playthrough of the same bit, but this time you've got Nick in the plane and he can call in airstrikes, so this is like a much louder version of taking that particular village. You can also fly the planes as well, like later on in the mission. You're not going to see it here because it's not in the B-roll, but you actually fly one of those planes yourself and it has machine guns and rockets on it, and you end up having to bomb like a couple of bases, but also fight another plane in the air, like air-to-air combat, which I don't think has really ever been in Far Cry before. They had the little gyrocopters, but actual planes where you're fighting other planes in the sky, like dogfighting. It was really cool to give that a go, and I'm looking forward to maybe later in the game if they can start introducing some more military planes like F-35s, A-10 Thunderbolts maybe, just amp up the stakes and bring that excitement back. I also had a blowtorch as well, because I asked the developer if you could set fire to stuff like you can in pretty much every Far Cry game since Far Cry 2 when they introduced that nice dynamic fire system, and he was like, yeah, you can, you've got a blowtorch. So I was like, oh cool. Just went around setting the forest on fire. There was a field full of cows, so naturally I just walked up to all of the cows and set them on fire. They weren't very happy about it though, and they did all attack me. I managed to escape though, and then I ended up running to a fishing lake. Yes, the game actually has fishing in it now, which is kind of odd for a game like Far Cry. You expect high octane action and craziness and stunts and mad characters, but it was actually quite nice to just go and find a river or a lake or whatever it was, sit down next to it, you pick up the fishing rod, sling it into the water and see what you get. And the fishing system is based off the vibrations of the controller, so you can wiggle the bait with the L2 button, I think it was, and then you can pull the line in with R2, but you also control the direction, and if you get a bite, it rumbles more when it's resisting, and you've got to try and pull in the opposite direction so the fishing rod doesn't snap. And then eventually, if you reel it in enough, you get yourself a fish. And there's all sorts of different types of fish. They have a weight, various shapes and sizes. I think the one that I caught was like 55 pounds, but the record for the day was 59. So I just missed out on getting the biggest catch of the day. So that was something new to the game. I did ask about the size of the map as well, like could they compare it to something, and unfortunately they said it's still kind of under embargo and they're not revealing exactly how big the map is, and it's still work in progress. But the guy did say to me that it's the biggest Far Cry map that they've ever built, and I kind of went into the menu, zoomed out and had a look, and it did look pretty vast. Overall, I definitely had fun with this Far Cry 5 demo. But I think in a similar way to what Ubi are doing with Assassin's Creed Origins, this isn't like a big innovation in the series. It's just more evolution than revolution, and they're just adding to the game. And like I said, I love the fact that they've got rid of the minimap and the tower system. It just feels like more Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If I had any complaints, I would say they're only technical ones. I know it's still work in progress, but the frames per second on the PlayStation 4 was definitely 30, and I felt it dip a couple of times, and also the field of view was very shallow. I think that's a problem that a lot of the Far Cry games suffer with on console, and I did ask the developer, are you guys going to add some options for FOV control like a lot of other games are doing now on console, like Battlefront, Battlefield 1. I think there's a couple of other shooters that have done it recently as well, and it's really nice for the console players to have that customization, because not everyone can enjoy playing first-person shooters when the field of view is low sometimes. I think I've about covered everything there in the demo that I played. It's a bit disappointing that I didn't get to capture what I was doing, because there were some really funny moments there and the game seemed quite polished to me, but hopefully I'll get some actual capture footage for you guys soon at an event in the future. Maybe Gamescom, I think, would be the next opportunity for that. Also, I'd love to play this game in co-op, because Far Cry always has some ridiculous funny moments. So that's all for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, please. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.